Jalen Hurts stood in front of the locker room, eyes steady, voice calm, telling his teammates to take ownership of what happened against the Cowboys. A 21-point lead, blown in a matter of minutes, is the kind of collapse that could shake any team, yet Hurts' words carry the same weight they always do. We got to own this one. Let it light a fire in us as a team, and stay together and move forward. There's nothing wrong with the sentiment. It is exactly the kind of leadership a team needs. But for Philadelphia, hearing the same mantra every time they fall apart is starting to feel less like guidance and more like a repeated acknowledgement of what they keep failing to fix. This is a veteran locker room, a squad full of talent and experience. Yet the phrase "own it" now echoes in empty spaces because the problems are deeper than accountability. The Eagles have always prided themselves on structure and control. For years, precision and alignment, discipline and execution, and smart, calculated decisions defined their identity. But against Dallas, every one of those traits seemed to vanish. 14 penalties for 96 yards is not just a statistic. It is a warning sign. Pre-snap errors, misaligned formations, mental mistakes that should never happen in November. These are the very things that stole a game that should have been well in hand. Hurts himself acknowledged it after the game, calling out mistakes that take no talent, and in saying so, he highlighted a disturbing trend. The roster that once dominated with focus and composure now looks reactive, scrambling to respond instead of executing with control. Every time the game tightens, the same cracks reappear. Philadelphia's offense started the game with full command, racing to a 21-point lead before halftime. Everything looked in place. The line held up, Hurts distributed effectively, and Saquon Barkley was ready to punch holes in the Dallas defense. But after that, the narrative flipped entirely. Over the remaining 41 minutes, the Eagles managed a mere 107 yards and failed to cross the 38-yard line even once. 7 drives, 7 times the offense sputtered and returned home empty-handed. Dallas played cleaner, sharper football. They exploited every gap, every hesitation, every lapse in Philadelphia's structure. It was not a fluke. It was a symptom. The defense, which had looked capable in the first half, suddenly gave up a staggering 473 yards, struggling to maintain spacing and control. What had seemed like a commanding lead dissolved because the Eagles lost their rhythm, their discipline, their identity. On offense, Barkley, despite being a league-leading talent, ran for just 22 yards on 10 carries. He admitted afterward that he lost us points with a fumble midway through the fourth quarter, but Hurts was quick to defend him, pointing out that many opportunities could have been avoided and that accountability must spread across the entire team. It is a reminder that even the best players cannot compensate for an offense losing focus and a coaching staff that allows errors to pile up unchecked. The offensive line, a unit that had once symbolized dominance in the trenches, was repeatedly flagged for holding and illegal formations. Each penalty was a stark reminder that the team's discipline issues are not isolated to a single position or moment. They are systemic. The collapse against Dallas revealed a roster still trying to talk its way out of bad habits rather than correcting them. Hurts' message of accountability is consistent, confident, and precise. Yet even the clearest leadership cannot mask a team that fails to control the game when it matters most. The words "own it" feel more like a mantra for repeated mistakes than a rallying cry for progress. Adding to the concern is the offensive game plan. Reports from within the locker room suggested that Philadelphia was caught off guard by Dallas defensive alignments, particularly 5-man fronts that had been emphasized throughout the season. Landon Dickerson openly admitted that the team did not prepare for this look adequately, which is a shocking oversight considering the wealth of film and information available. It is not enough to have talented players if the coaching staff fails to prepare them for the realities of a rivalry game. Even a quarterback as capable as Hurts and a running back as explosive as Barkley cannot overcome a flawed game plan combined with repeated execution errors. Barkley's struggles are particularly telling because they reflect both personal and systemic issues. Coming off a season where he led the league in rushing and total yard from scrimmage, his production this year has dipped dramatically. Yet, the fault does not lie solely with him. Offensive tackle Jordan Mailata made it clear that the challenges in the run game are shared, pointing to the need for the line to execute better and for the team as a whole to function as a cohesive unit. One block away is the phrase repeated over and over, but it also carries a hard truth. Preparation, discipline, and structure cannot be replaced with talent alone. Until those fundamentals are solidified, the Eagles will continue to struggle in critical moments, and their big leads will evaporate like they did against Dallas. The loss to the Cowboys also highlighted the importance of coaching adjustments and preparedness. Every team in the NFL evolves week to week, yet Philadelphia seems slow to recognize the adjustments Dallas made with their defensive fronts. The five-man alignments that stifled Barkley and disrupted the Eagles' rhythm have been visible on film for weeks. This raises questions not about effort or talent, but about how the coaching staff approaches preparation and strategy. Even the most skilled players cannot perform optimally if they're consistently met with scenarios they were not trained or prepared for. In a league where margins are razor-thin, these kinds of oversights can mean the difference between a playoff-caliber team and one that falters under pressure. Throughout all of this, Hurts remains a model of leadership. Calm, precise, and always advocating accountability, he embodies the qualities of a true franchise quarterback. But leadership alone cannot compensate for structural deficiencies, repeated mental mistakes, and a lack of consistent execution. The Eagles' struggles are not about a lack of heart. They're about discipline, preparation, and maintaining control when the stakes are highest. Every week, the same themes play out: promising starts, early dominance, and then a collapse driven by errors that should have been eliminated. Hurts can stand at the podium. He can call for accountability. He can own it 100 times, but unless the team addresses the root causes, those words will echo hollowly, describing repeated failures rather than solutions. Philadelphia's identity is slipping. The offense, once a machine built on precision and control, now looks reactive, prone to mistakes, and unable to sustain momentum. The defense, which had moments of dominance, is vulnerable when the game tightens. Penalties pile up, alignment errors persist, and the coaching staff struggles to adjust in real time. Every big lead is now a test, and every opponent capable of exploiting these weaknesses poses a serious threat. For a team with Super Bowl aspirations, these are not minor setbacks. They are major red flags. The clock is ticking, and the Eagles must address both execution and preparation if they hope to transform accountability into victories rather than reminders of repeated disappointment. Looking ahead, the Eagles cannot afford another performance like the one against Dallas if they want to maintain serious playoff contention. Their next opponent, the Chicago Bears, is no pushover, and while Philadelphia is technically favored, the warning signs from recent games are too glaring to ignore. It is not just about talent on the field. It is about execution, discipline, and the ability to respond under pressure. The Eagles have all the pieces: Hurts at quarterback, Barkley at running back, a solid receiving core, and a defensive line capable of creating chaos. But the integration of those pieces has been inconsistent. Against the Cowboys, we saw exactly what happens when the offense loses rhythm. Opportunities vanish and the defense ends up on its heels. If the Eagles fail to address these recurring issues, the Bears could exploit them just as effectively, forcing the team to confront its vulnerabilities before the postseason begins. The Bears present a test not only of skill, but also of mental toughness. They are a team that can be opportunistic, and they will not hesitate to capitalize on Philadelphia's lapses. The key for the Eagles is to maintain focus from the first snap, to execute cleanly, and to avoid the kind of mental mistakes that plagued them in Dallas. Pre-snap errors, false starts, penalties that erode momentum. These are not just minor annoyances. They're the kind of mistakes that shift the tide of a game. Hurts' leadership is steady and unwavering, and his insistence on accountability is essential, yet the team cannot rely solely on words. Accountability must translate into preparation, discipline, and performance on the field. Every drive, every series, and every alignment matters, and the Eagles must prove that they can sustain control for the full 60 minutes. Saquon Barkley's role in the upcoming game is particularly critical. After a disappointing outing in Dallas, his confidence is under scrutiny, though his teammates and coaching staff insist that the issue is not a personal slump, but rather a reflection of the offensive line struggles and the overall execution of the game plan. Barkley is one of the most explosive players in the league, capable of turning a single play into a game-changing moment, yet he cannot carry the team alone. The linemen must provide the necessary blocks, the play calls must be adjusted effectively, and the timing between quarterback and running back must be flawless. If any of these elements falter, Barkley's impact is diminished and the team's ability to control the game suffers. The offensive line, long considered the backbone of the Eagles' offense, has shown cracks that demand immediate attention. Against Dallas, holding penalties, misalignments, and poor communication created situations that allowed the Cowboys' defense to dominate. It is a reminder that even elite skill positions cannot compensate for breakdowns up front. Every run, every pass, every protection call relies on coordination and execution. The team has to reestablish trust in this unit, both for the running game and the passing attack, to prevent another collapse. Hurts cannot function in a vacuum, and Barkley cannot break through unblocked defenders. Discipline in the trenches will determine whether Philadelphia can regain the control that has defined its identity in the past. Coaching strategy is also under scrutiny. The Eagles staff must demonstrate adaptability, preparing for defensive variations and unexpected formations that opponents bring each week. The Dallas game highlighted the dangers of inadequate preparation, as five-man fronts exploited weaknesses that should have been identified through film study. Against the Bears, the staff must anticipate adjustments and ensure that the team is ready for multiple scenarios. The margin for error in the NFL is razor-thin. Failing to prepare thoroughly for situational changes undermines even the most talented roster. The players can execute flawlessly, but without strategic awareness and proper planning, they are left vulnerable. Philadelphia's defense cannot be overlooked either. While the offense has struggled with execution, the defensive unit has also faced challenges, particularly in maintaining spacing, assignments, and composure under pressure. The collapse against Dallas was amplified because the defense was constantly put in reactive positions. Sustaining leads requires a complementary effort between offense and defense, and the Eagles must ensure that both units are synchronized. Every missed tackle, every blown coverage, every miscommunication magnifies the offense's struggles and increases the pressure on the quarterback and skill players. Control is not just a concept for the offense. It must permeate the entire team from the line of scrimmage to the secondary. Hurts' leadership remains the cornerstone of Philadelphia's efforts, yet words alone cannot reverse a season's worth of recurring mistakes. He continues to call for accountability and unity, emphasizing that setbacks are opportunities for growth, but the team's response will define their trajectory. The phrase, "let it light a fire in us," is inspiring, yet it is only effective if the team can translate motivation into tangible results on the field. The Eagles must establish consistency in execution, eliminate penalties, improve communication, and respond intelligently to defensive adjustments. Without these corrections, every big lead is a fragile advantage, and every opponent capable of exploiting mistakes becomes a formidable challenge. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL rumor mill is heating up, and this one might just set Philadelphia fans on edge. Sources close to the team claim that Jalen Hurts, the Eagles' star quarterback, has reportedly issued a shocking ultimatum. If the franchise pursues Jalen Hurts Jr., yes, another Jalen Hurts, to join the team, Hurts himself could walk away. Insiders describe the situation as tense, with whispers circulating that Hurts feels his position and leadership could be undermined by any arrival bearing the same name and potentially the same spotlight. The news has set social media ablaze. Fans and analysts alike are scrambling to parse what this means for the Eagles' front office, which has previously shown interest in shaking up the roster. Hurts has been a cornerstone of Philadelphia's offense, earning accolades for his dual-threat ability and leadership on and off the field. But this rumored ultimatum paints a picture of a quarterback who is not afraid to assert his influence, perhaps even over personnel decisions. Several league insiders suggest that Hurts' reported warning could be a negotiating tactic, a way to reinforce his value and secure his position as the undisputed face of the franchise. Others argue it might signal genuine tension within the Eagles' locker room, a potential clash of egos that could affect team chemistry if not handled delicately. Executives are reportedly in damage control mode, weighing the risk of upsetting a franchise quarterback against the allure of a new, highly touted talent. Adding fuel to the fire, unnamed sources hint that Hurts' camp has already made informal calls, emphasizing loyalty and stability as non-negotiable for the star QB. Meanwhile, rival teams are watching closely, knowing that any disruption in Philadelphia could have ripple effects across the league. Fans are left speculating. Is this a bluff, a serious ultimatum, or simply the latest chapter in a league that thrives on drama? What's clear is that Philadelphia's front office faces a high-stakes decision. Protect the teams present with Hurts at the helm, or gamble on future potential that might provoke the wrath of the very quarterback who has carried the Eagles' offense. One thing is certain. Wherever this story goes, the rumor mills aren't slowing down anytime soon. And for Eagles fans, it may be the most tense off-field saga they've faced in years. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.